I like it when two guys stand up and they just pound for pound blow each other around the ring.
They ruined it. Oh, and by the way, they killed Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black. They killed them. They threw him off the roof. We're supposed to believe that Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black died.
I think what you saw.
Come on, man.
I thought what you saw in the words of RKJ meant a killing on live television, and that's what really happened.
Welcome, everybody, to the Ring Generals podcast. My name is Nick Nina. Alongside me are my three greatest friends, Easy-E Eric Santos.
It's cooking, guys.
My boy, Jesse.
What's up, jabronis?
And, of course, the RKJ Man.
Let's talk that talk, y'all. Hypocritical Nick. Oh, we got so much good shit to talk today. Let's talk that talk, y'all.
Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. There's a little, our logo is in the corner of the screen, on one of the corners. That's the subscribe button. If you like what you heard today, if you were entertained, if you laughed, if you cried, if you did whatever, please go down and subscribe. Also, by liking our podcast, you also make it go out to the YouTube public more. It gets out there more. So like and subscribe and comment. There's a reason we're saying that. It helps us out. If you like our content, you're helping us out. And for everybody that's been viewing our podcast lately, we thank you. And we really enjoy it. Yeah, and we hope you've been enjoying our content. We have a great show. RKJ is not over-projecting there. We have a lot of big topics. On the podcast, we didn't really expect to have a lot to talk about necessarily besides UFC 249, which apparently the whole world watched. Yeah. We also are going to jump into the Money in the Bank winners in the professional wrestling ranks. What we think about that, I personally have a lot to say about that, so stay tuned for that. Monday Night Raw produced a big moment tonight as well. We were recording on Monday. They have announced that one of their superstars is going to be gone for a long time, and we'll explain to you why. She will be gone for probably a year. I think you can guess what we're talking about there. But guys, we got to start the podcast, of course. The first sporting event since the coronavirus pandemic really started happening. All the lockdowns, all the stay-at-home orders happened. UFC 249, one of the best cards in UFC history, at least when it's set up. And it was a pay-per-view that absolutely delivered in most people's minds. Amazing knockouts. Great fights, curious decisions by the referees, and even a championship changing hands here on this card. So much to talk about, and let's dive in to UFC 249. Guys, can you believe we actually had a UFC pay-per-view to watch this past weekend?
I'm blown away. Man, just by thinking about that night, it felt like I was, MMA fan all over again. Looking at that event, it was stacked, and I think it lived up to the pay-per-view, to the hype, if you ask me. I mean, I think when Dana White said that there's going to be violence in the main event, it did. There was violence in that one. Heavyweight division delivered as well. The other one with Cejudo and Cruz, unexpected announcement from Cejudo, obviously. Even the Pettis and Cerrone fight as well. Yeah, it was just fight after fight, card after fight card. It was just so good. It felt like International Fight Week. Just came early, and then also leaves, the question as well. Even Joe Rogan and DC and John Anik, they were asking, when is Fight Island going to be? When is that going to be, or where is that going to be at? So that's another one. There's been talks about saying that they want to bring in Masvidal involved. They want to bring in Conor involved. They want to bring in anybody in this one. So this should be interesting. Is Fight Island going to be part of International Fight Week? Is that going to be the case? So, but overall, great card. Yeah, I love the card.
Jesse, you're a resident MMA guy here on the podcast. I know you were foaming at the mouth getting ready for this show.
I was more than foaming, my friend.
I know we're not allowed to say that. You said it a couple times last week. We got to tone you down on that one a little bit.
All right. But nevertheless, I was foaming.
Yes, you were foaming at the mouth. whatever mouth that may be. And
Make up a lot of good.
so Jesse, how did the card go for you, an MMA man at heart? What did you think about? How did you feel after UFC 249 went off the air?
Oh man, I was nervous, to be honest, because I didn't know how this was gonna plan out. But to be honest, Dana White and the UFC delivered on its promise. They promised there'll be, like Eric said, violence, blood, and everything else. Hell, there's even some controversial. You can't end the night. You can't end the night without a controversial fight. Those always has to be. If there isn't, man, it's not the same. It's more exciting. It entices you, makes you more excited. It makes you want to dig in deep more, see what's going on behind the scenes, But absolutely, the crowd was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, that's the best part of the whole show.
It was phenomenal. It actually kind of
Awesome,
reminds me. It kind of reminds me of the Saitama Arena in Japan when UFC goes there for fight nights, and or main title, main events. It's really quiet, and you can actually hear the bones cracking, bone to bone, hit for hit. You can hear the snaps. Oh my God. You could hear them actually talking. You actually could hear the announcers in the background, like Joe Rogan, John Anik, DC, even the coaches. You could hear them clearly, as loud as as if you were there. To be honest, oh my God, the UFC delivered on its promise enough. I just basically love it. I mean, it's the best card of all time to me, in my opinion. The best card. Whether it's Cejudo on the main event or Dominic Cruz, whoever the hell it is, anybody, but they delivered. Now, overall, of course, the referee has some weird things going on in there, but hey, it was a hell of a night.
RKJ, you have only bought a handful of pay-per-views in your life as far as the UFC. And this was one of the few. You're saying one. So the only other pay-per-view you bought was McGregor and Khabib, correct?
Yep.
So for somebody that doesn't usually watch this stuff, how was it for you as far as there being no crowd? How different was it for you to watch it? Were you disappointed? Were you satisfied? Did it make a difference? What did you think about that aspect of the card?
I think it was better, honestly, without a crowd. And the reason why I think it was better without a crowd is because you could hear everything so clear. You could hear the hits and the strikes so clearly. The audio was turned up. I could tell they turned up the audio a little bit more on the levels. You could hear the referee talking a lot. I love the stuff in the corner. I think they do that all the time, and I wish they would expand on that. We could hear corner stuff all the time from that, because I think that's a really key thing. But hearing, Joe Rogan, Cormier, what's the other guy's name?
John Anik.
Yeah. They were phenomenal. They're a phenomenal three-man broadcast crew. And I know last year or a couple of years ago, there was a rumor that Fox wanted Daniel Cormier for SmackDown. And I can absolutely understand why, because Cormier is a fantastic announcer. He gets into it as he's announcing, and he makes it very, very clear. I would go as far as to say he's the John Madden of MMA broadcasting. He's phenomenal. He is really phenomenal at breaking things down. My mom and my dad were watching. We thought it was phenomenal. We loved it. We loved every single moment. It's funny. After my mom saw Francis Ngannou, she was like, I can't watch that anymore. I can't.
I told you, your mom was going to get nightmares.
Yeah, she was like, that's too much devastation. That's too much devastation. I can't watch it.
Oh,
He's a scary man.
Everything on this card was dynamite besides the women's strawweight match, whatever that was. They need to never be allowed on a card again. Okay? Look, let me just say this, okay? I've seen poops that are better than that fight, okay? That was a terrible fight. I don't know why they were allowed to have that match. And what's funny about that match, is because we saw the Modelo commercial with Emmanuel Nunes all over the place. We saw Joanna, what's her last name?
Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah, we saw her all over the place. We saw her all over the fight night or the card too, in terms of like promoting something. If I'm an MMA fan, a casual one at that, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to see these two women on there. No, you get a crappy preliminary match with the two women. That's the only thing I didn't like. Other than that, I thought it was a great card and a good show.
Yeah, just so you know, RKJ, Amanda Nunes was originally actually scheduled for this card, but just due to the coronavirus and other stuff, she was not able to make it. She is scheduled for the next pay-per-view. Amanda Nunes, I don't know if you've seen any of her fights before. One of the best fighters of all time in UFC.
Didn't she beat Ronda Rousey?
Yeah.
She beat Ronda Rousey. She's beaten
retired.
Cyborg. She's beaten everybody you can think of.
Yeah.
And that's why she's the double champ, and that's why she'll remain the double champ probably for a long time.
She dominated the division. Yeah. Like, there's nobody out there who can take on Amanda Nunes. Took out Tay, took out Rousey, Holly Holm, Cyborg. Yeah, it's just who's next, really.
A murderer's row of fighters she's taken out, and we don't see it stopping anytime soon. Only super fights for Amanda Nunes we'll be excited about. But all right, so to get more in depth with the card, Justin Gaethje wins the interim lightweight championship here in somewhat of a surprising win for a lot. Others maybe expected it. A lot of people were calling this a matchup nightmare for Tony Ferguson. That proved to be true. Henry Cejudo defends his title, the Bantamweight Championship, against Dominic Cruz in what was a very controversial ending with about 1 or 2 seconds left in the round. It is called a knockout, although Dominic Cruz argued he was still getting up. We'll debate about that in a second. Francis Ngannou murdered Jairo Rozenstruik in the middle of the ring, actually against the fence, sending what did you say your mom called it? That might be the description of the night for that one. What did she say it was?
Too much devastation for it.
Yeah, that was it. It was devastating for sure. Francis Ngannou throws himself at the pretty much for a heavyweight title shot. His next fight should be. Greg Hardy gets a big win. Anthony Pettis gets a controversial win versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And many other great fights on this card happen. We go through the whole card if we want to, but we don't have time for that. So we'll just stick to the top. Also, Calvin Kattar, amazing knockout. Elbows of Jeremy Stevens, another devastating knockout there, 2 in a row there for the UFC back-to-back. But, guys, let's talk about Cejudo's retirement, because this came as a major surprise to me. Okay, I guess I don't follow the dirt sheets for MMA as much because I did not see this coming. Lots said this was coming. Jesse, I want to point to you first. What did you think when Cejudo retired? What was your initial thoughts, and now what do you think now, a couple of days later?
I was a bit surprised, but at the same time, he's kind of been mentioning it behind the scenes with his coaches, his friends, family. Ever since he kind of took the layoff after the Mariah's fight, and he had his shoulder surgery, and he took that time off. He kind of reflected what was his next moves besides being in the UFC. I mean, everybody's gonna have to think outside the box. Besides in the UFC, nobody's gonna be there forever, He said he wants to start a family with his new girlfriend. I guess, who knows? I mean, is he gonna bend the knee for the first time? Who knows? It's up to him and his future wife. But I'll leave it at that. And he actually surprised me of knocking down Dominic Cruz and finishing him on top. But at the same time, of course that decision by the ref to stop the fight was a bit controversial. But at the same time, we've seen way worse stoppages in the past, and it's similar to the TJ Dillashaw fight. But at the same time, I mean, they weren't intelligent enough to defend. I mean, Dominic Cruz did try his best. Of course, he gave it his all. After getting hit like about 10 unanswered strikes, I mean, you got to call that. I mean, I would have called that, to be honest. But hey, hats off to Cejudo and his team, and congratulations to the guy. He deserved it. I mean, he deserved to go out on top. I mean, starting at the bottom, go on top, leave at the top. Leave as a king.
So Eric, watching Cejudo's many fights and stuff like that, when he announced he was retired, obviously he did that in the ring and all that stuff, but after he went to the back and talked to the reporters, one of the reporters asked him, if there's a certain amount of money, a certain amount of dollars they're throwing at you, will you come back? And he did allude to the fact that money does speak. So in your opinion, Do you think we'll ever see Henry Cejudo in another MMA ring?
I know that I jokingly said this with Ryan and Jesse when we were watching the fight. After the fight, I was saying that, yeah, I think he does have a few more fights underneath his belt. He did say he wanted to pursue real estate, so that's what he wants to go. And he said that he's tired of cutting weight. That's another issue that he wanted to point out. So for Cejudo, I think in the future he will come back. It does seem that way because I feel like he still has to prove himself in a way for me, because he's been calling out guys like Jose Baldo. He calls him Jose Waldo, Baldo, whatever. So I think if Aldo or anybody else, or the next big guy coming into that division, the bantamweight division, then I think that there might be somewhat of a challenge for Cejudo. Sometimes some like things like Conor McGregor, like when Conor McGregor announced that he was retiring, how many people bought the fact that he was going to retire or going to come back?
Very good point.
He came back, unfortunately. Cejudo.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, McGregor came back. What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm speaking as a devil's advocate in a way.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, for Cejudo, I think there might be there is going to be money on the table in the future, and he will probably do the same thing too. What the other guys would do, like guys like McGregor, come back, have a couple other fights underneath his belt, and maybe challenge Jose Aldo. And one of these days, I don't know. I mean, do your thing, bend the knee to his woman, and propose to her, and then get your real estate license, work on that, and then if it does happen, if a super fight happens, or whenever somebody calls him out or tends to pressure him to have another fight with Cejudo, that can happen. Cejudo can come back. As of right now, I think he really does need to step out, because maybe in a way maybe there is somewhere underneath inside him where he says that, you know what, I'm going to retire for good. I want to leave the same legacy that GSP made, because GSP left the company, or left the sport clean. Like he's
okay, but see, Eric, when you say GSP though, GSP came back for one more fight.
Yeah, one more fight.
And won again.
Yeah.
So GSP might not be the best example there. Is there a chance you think he does come back? Do you think he does do a GSP and he does end up on top, whether it be bantamweight, flyweight, maybe featherweight?
Yeah, it could happen. Cejudo can do that. He can do that. Just one more fight, one or two more fights, but it just leaves for Cejudo. So Cejudo, as of right now, for me, in my opinion, I think he'll come back. Just not right now. Just he needs to step away and take some time and focus on himself. But he'll come back. That's what I think.
RKJ, do you have any comments on the Henry Cejudo retirement?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, this Dominic Cruz guy, I mean, we got all this big hype co-main event. I was very disappointed in him. I don't know what's so great about him after seeing this, but from what I saw, he's a scrub and he needs to go back to the company. Okay? And that is a data move for him to make the decision to cop out to the referee and say that he smelled cigarettes and alcohol. No, you just got knocked the heck out by Henry Cejudo. That's what was going on. You were on the ground. You were against the cage. You were in a vulnerable situation, and he was about to get killed. Okay, let's talk about Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, I was not surprised that he was going to quit. Why? Because he had complained multiple times about the money situation. A lot of these fighters want Conor McGregor money, but guess what? There's only one Conor McGregor. And Dana White, if he starts giving Conor McGregor money out to everybody else, Dana White's going to get concerned about losing a little bit of money, especially during a pandemic where you don't have that revenue coming in from the crowd anymore. That's a big financial issue as well. We're seeing a lot in these leagues like MLB right now. They're dealing with the situation with how to split money between the players and the owners because there was no crowd to play for the games, to pay for the games. So I understand where Henry Cejudo is coming in that frustration. This was going on before there was a global pandemic. Now, as far as Henry Cejudo is going, I think he's going to go away, have some time off. He's going to get this woman pregnant, okay? And then he's going to realize that kids are very expensive. Okay, they're a lot of money. Okay, and he's gonna have to come back and take care of this kid. Okay, either he goes back to the octagon and has a big match with, I guess, Aldo or whoever else is big at the time in his division, or he goes to the WWE. I think he'll come back to UFC. I don't think he's a big enough star. If Conor McGregor were to go to WWE, that's big money news. Ronda Rousey going to WWE, Brock Lesnar going back to WWE, that's big news. Henry Cejudo is not big enough yet, which is why he's not getting Conor McGregor money yet. Okay, so make them miss you. He's doing this, and he'll come back after he gets this woman pregnant, after he has a kid, and after he realizes, oh my God, this kid is a lot of money. He's going to come back and he's going to fight one more time in the octagon probably. And hopefully it's a better fight than Cruz on Saturday night, because that was disappointing to me.
RKJ, you make a lot of good points there. You know, when you have a child, there's a lot of money there that you have to spend. We all know this. I mean, if you're oblivious to that, kids are very expensive, and so maybe the pressure of that will come to Henry Cejudo. And yeah, he'll have to have a big money fight. But you're right, he's not Conor McGregor. He will not get that money, and that's probably why Dana White is hard nosed to give it to him, right? Because also his division isn't the most popular. Could you agree with me, guys, on that? That the bantamweight and flyweight divisions aren't the most popular divisions. They don't have the stacked up fighters like, say, the welterweight division, the lightweight division, or the heavyweight division. What do you say, RKJ?
Also, I want to say this. Cejudo seems forced, whereas Conor McGregor seems natural. Conor McGregor has a natural charisma about him that just even makes my dad look at the television and enjoy everything Conor does. Henry Cejudo doesn't have that. He comes off as a little fly on the wall that you want to punch. So like one of those hornets that everybody's freaked out about. So Henry Cejudo's talking all this stuff. I'm the best fighter of all time and whatnot. And Joe Rogan's like, yeah, right. Look at all these fighters that have come before you. Come on, Henry Cejudo. You're not big enough to retire, and it's not making a big deal. We've forgotten about it 2 days later.
Okay, so to give you a heads up, he is called the Cringe King for a reason. He plays the character that is annoying, the annoying fly on the wall. So the fact that you thought that was a real thing, I guess it's working, right? I guess it's working. He does that on purpose. Okay,
yeah,
he does that on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, Cejudo plays that character. Even Covington plays that character. Yep. When he was with Shops, Food Truck Diaries, he said that, oh man, you're making me break character. And Colby also said that too. Yeah, Brandon Schaub said that, I also try to make Colby break character a few times. So yeah, there's also there's pro wrestling influence involved with Cejudo and Covington. All right, so yeah, I don't.
Doesn't need to be a cringe king to be great. That's Conor.
It's entertaining. It's funny.
Personality. That's his natural personality. That's why I think Conor McGregor is the Michael Jordan of MMA right now.
Nope. Disagree.
He is the Michael Jordan of MMA.
I don't know about.
He's never defended his titles, nor he's a two-sport world champion, so he can't say he's a Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has got titles. Now, Conor McGregor might have won titles, but he never defended them. Jordan did. At least he attempted.
Jordan did. Jordan did what, 4 times?
Yeah. John Jones, GSP, Anderson Silva, Cejudo. Who else?
Was Gracie? Maybe?
No, not Gracie. Those were the early tournament format days.
It's the early.
Demetrius Johnson, too.
DJ, of course. Yeah. Now, DJ, the funny thing is that some actually called DJ the greatest of all time because he was a complete mixed martial artist. He was very disciplined. He never slacked. Whatever the promotion tried to force him to do, he's like, nah, I'm just rather be me and do my own thing and defend my titles. Now, if they want me to, go for a title shot for a different division, I'll go up there, but I'll have to fight another guy. Or if they could come down, like TJ decided to want to come down and fight DJ before he lost. He said, DJ even told him, hey, you got to come back down in my division, prove yourself, and then earn your title shot. I'm not going to give it to you just like that. No. Now, that's the thing. He ain't the Michael Jordan or anything. Hell, they're going to probably forget about him 10 years from now because he'd never be the greatest champion of all time. Who's the greatest champion of all time? DJ, John Jones, Anderson Silva, GSP.
Where are they?
DJ's in one championship. another organization, becoming a champion. John Jones, a champion.
Still active.
I mean, these guys all going away as champions, except for Anderson Silva. Okay.
Yeah, Anderson Silva's retired, but Anderson Silva had one of the best careers of all time.
Yes, that is true.
Real quickly. When I talk about Conor McGregor, I look at star power. Okay.
No, it ain't about.
No, Ryan. The thing is,
hold on. Let me tell you something about Conor McGregor. Okay?
It's about cementing legacy. Cejudo cemented his legacy, not only in just in the MMA,
because Ryan,
but
you came way
also
late.
in the Olympics.
Yeah, Ryan came way late. That's
well,
the
but
reason.
what RKJ is talking about, though, what he's saying is the Conor McGregor, his famousness in MMA is equal somewhat to Michael Jordan, though. I'll take a side on this one. Only because his statistics,
just like in what this little this mouth is like a tiny fly, like a flea.
But think about it this way, RKJ, I'll defend you on this one real quick. So think about this: Conor McGregor sold out an arena, had some of the best pay-per-view buys in a non-championship fight against a guy that has now lost 4 times in a row, Cowboy Cerrone. If that's not what you call star power, I don't know. You guys are correct. He did not defend his titles, but he was a 2 double champ at one point. Yeah. And his opponents are a lot more difficult than, say, some of the guys we mentioned. John Jones's opponents, besides the Daniel Cormier and Alexander Gustafsson, have been somewhat overwhelming at times, right, when he's defended his title. Demetrius Johnson, his opponents, not the best at times. So, RKJ, I'm going to defend you on that one. I do agree with Conor McGregor. He may not be the best fighter of all time, but he does have the famousness of a Michael Jordan in this sport specifically.
Yeah. I'll say this. Conor McGregor is the Kim Kardashian of MMA. Let's just say that, okay?
Hey, Kim Kardashian sells, bro. Kim Kardashian's got a lot of money. Hey, Conor McGregor's got the most money in MMA.
That's true.
Let me explain something.
I'll say that.
Hold on, Jesse. There was a tweet that came out that night that said this is the most betted UFC fight besides a McGregor card.
He's got you guys on this one. So
you're telling me if Conor McGregor wasn't on this, if he was on this card right now, I guarantee you it would be double the buys that it's going to come out to be. It would be double the buys because Conor McGregor is that star power. He's watching this thing and he's waiting to see. Conor McGregor is charismatic so much that he can carry a card by himself.
And he can insult you, Ryan.
He gets help. He even takes away with a retired old man.
By the way, Jesse,
he's a star power.
Hold on. Jesse, talking a lot about Henry Cejudo and cementing his legacy. I believe Conor McGregor right now is on his way of cementing his legacy by beating Khabib. He is on his way of cementing his legacy.
How's he able to beat Khabib?
Wait. Hold on. No. We can't talk about Conor McGregor versus Khabib until we talk about Justin Gaethje versus Khabib, because that's a fight. I'll tell you this. I didn't expect that to be a fight I'm excited for, but holy shit am I excited for it, okay? Let me just say this. After what he did to Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje versus Khabib has now turned into for me, the best possible fight you could come up with at this point. Event, maybe a Masvidal Conor Khabib, something like that. But the best fight that we have in MMA coming up is going to be Justin Gaethje and Khabib Nurmagomedov. Eric, what do you think about my statement there? Do you think this is going to be one of the best UFC fights in history? Are you looking at it like that, or are you looking at it somewhat disappointed that Tony Ferguson didn't come out on top?
A lot of fans are going to be saying, well, I wanted Tony versus Khabib. I wanted Tony versus, versus Conor, or, Khabib versus McGregor, whatever. But after Saturday night, Gaethje proved me wrong. He was the underdog going in this one. For me, he was like the underdog, but I could not prove the guy's skills. I just thought that Ferguson was just a little bit better before the fight. And until Gaethje beat him, it just proved to me, holy shit. This guy can go toe to toe with a tough guy like Ferguson. If he can go up against a guy like Ferguson like that, then he can also survive 5 rounds with Khabib Nurmagomedov. So for me personally, and he does have the right to do so since he's got the title shot. He is definitely the kind of guy who can go up against Khabib. And I think personally, surprisingly, I really think Justin can do it. I think he can beat Khabib. I really think right now at this point, Justin is the kind of guy who can beat Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean, it's just a matter of like it just depends on how Khabib is doing right now. But Justin, as how he's been doing as of late, how he proved me wrong from that last fight with Tony Ferguson, I think that Justin's the kind of guy who can match Khabib's skills and quite possibly beat Khabib Nurmagomedov and get the lightweight title. But I think so.
Jesse, what do you look at in this future fight between Gaethje and Khabib? Because that's the one that's going to happen. Give me your MMA analysis. What do you think Justin Gaethje has to do to beat a guy that is primarily a wrestler in every single match? We know Justin Gaethje's background. He was in the NCAA championships his last year in college and then transferred right into MMA right after. What does Gaethje have to do to beat a Khabib Nurmagomedov?
Well, after that display, after he beat a tough guy in Tony Ferguson, and some may say that his, Tony's performance in that fight might have been due to, cutting weight twice. And I know cutting weight twice is a drag, and it drains the hell out of you. But Tony's a tough SOB, and hats off to Gaethje. But besides that, I mean, for him to do that, he's gonna have to pull like a Chuck Liddell style. What he does is that he forces his opponents to stand up. So he's gonna use his wrestling to defend and force Khabib to stand up with him and trade. And that's one of the possibilities I could see him do, and chop his legs down. Go for an uppercut. Go with the combos. Khabib has trouble. Kind of standing up. His boxing is not that great. I mean, let's just say that he's better, going as a ground and pound guy, and kind of like a Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz used to do kind of, just take down, ground and pound, kind of like that. And, Justin Gaethje of today's Chuck Liddell is a guy that strikes him, rock and sock him, force him to stand up and fight. And, but, these styles make fights. And who knows how this outcome would be, but, Gaethje wants to be the first guy to take out Khabib. He wants to be the guy, everybody talks about. It's like, yeah, I'm the first guy to take out Khabib and, put a statement on the, give the statement on the, lightweight division. Say, this is my division now. If you want to take it from me, you got to beat me. And Gaethje's willing to, sacrifice anything, for it, just for a round. He's willing to sacrifice a round to get another round. So, I mean, who knows how this this will be.
Well, and Jesse, I keep imagining just the fact that Gaethje, with that wrestling background, we know the statistic. RKJ, you may not know this. Justin Gaethje, being a wrestler in the national championships in college, like Brock Lesnar, like others, has never even attempted a takedown in the UFC, being in the national championships at wrestling. He's never used that. So, Jesse, what I see is Gaethje using his takedown defense as his best friend in that fight. That you're right, if he takes away Khabib's best asset, which is his wrestling, his grappling, his ground and pound, Gaethje's going to win the fight because Gaethje's punches are like cinder blocks. Now, Tony Ferguson, for some reason, just never went down. And I was sitting there with my girlfriend, and she's like, how does this guy get hit that many times? He doesn't even react, right? He never gave up the fight. The referee had to stop it. Yeah.
He dances off these punches, and then until, at the very end, he kind of wobbled, and, Herb Dean kind of called it. I mean, it's a right call. You should have done it a little bit earlier. But hey, it's a great fight, and, hats off to these two warriors, and, they earned each other's respect, not just each other's, but the whole world's. I mean, they put on a fantastic display. If you could take Justin Gaethje's punches like that, I mean, who in the hell does that the past guys he's faced, like Edson Barbosa, Cerrone,
Yep.
Anthony Johnson, not Anthony Johnson, Johnson. They took those punches, knees, they all went down. They got cracked and it went down and they went to sleep. And for Tony Ferguson, such a freaking durable guy to take those punches and kicks, man, especially coming out that leg, the ACL surgery, taking those kicks. I mean, I would have been on my knees tapping, but that's that's me being honest. Like that guy kicked like a freaking bat. Take a bat to the leg, of course you're gonna go down, you're gonna crack. But yeah, I mean, who the hell does that? And Tony Ferguson is a freak. Now that's saying me for respectively, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it sure was impressive from Tony Ferguson, but more impressive for Justin Gaethje. Now, RKJ, I want to point to you this: you've only bought 2 UFC pay-per-views in your life. Will you buy Justin Gaethje versus Khabib Nurmagomedov? Does this fight present that true pay-per-view model for someone like you that's a casual MMA fan that only watches when the biggest fights? How excited are you about Gaethje and Khabib later this year?
Well, I don't really like the grappling style in UFC, honestly. If the whole getting on the mat thing, it's boring to me, honestly. I like it when 2 guys stand up and they just pound for pound blow each other around the ring. I love that type of style.
Can you say that one more time real quick? Can you say that one more time? What did you say you like when the fighters do?
Nah,
Trying to bait him
roll that back.
On the intro.
Roll that back. Yep, Eric, that's 100%.
Just hit the rewind button, guys.
Pound for pound, blow each other around the ring.
Whoa, Ryan! I don't want to take it that.
Around the God, baby.
So just so you guys know,
it's the coronavirus baby boom, y'all.
Just so you guys know, RKJ likes it when the fighters blow each other around the ring.
You know what I mean. Basically, what I mean is I want people to get knocked out around that octagon. I enjoy it. I don't think the style, if we end up going ground and pound, there was a fight earlier that in that preliminary card, I forgot who the 2 guys were, but I just said it was boring.
Bryce Mitchell and Charles.
Yeah, it was just on the ground. It was just as soon as the round started, the guy went for a takedown. And me and my mom were like, this is boring. Okay, I want excitement. Okay, if that is what Khabib and Gaethje's going to be, just 25 minutes of just being on the ground, then I'm just going to skip this one and just sign me up when McGregor's fighting.
Well, here's the thing, though. So, RKJ, real quick. So the thing about Gaethje, though, is he may be able to defend Khabib. So would you watch this fight knowing that there's the chance he forces Khabib, who's undefeated, one of the best fighters of all time, he forces Khabib to do something he's not used to doing, and he would force Khabib to stand up with Gaethje? Would that entice you to watch a fight like this?
No, I think Khabib is smart enough, and he has the benefit of watching Gaethje empty out all his moves almost, except the takedown, which he doesn't know. But he can go back and research that and look at his previous fights from NCAA and kind of research how that's done.
Good point. Very good point.
I just personally think Khabib is going to win this fight. I was disappointed in Ferguson. You guys made this big deal about Ferguson possibly beating Khabib, and then Ferguson put up this fight. You guys are giving him this credit and saying, oh, he's like an alien. He took these hits and he kept coming. Well, he looked like an alien. He lost the damn fight too at the very fight. These people, we constantly put these people up on a pedestal, and I'm telling you, Khabib is just knocking them all down. So I just don't believe Justin Gaethje could beat Khabib. I think Justin Gaethje got through on the fact that he only had Ferguson only had 5 weeks to fight him. He didn't really know that much. He had to deal with that stuff, Jesse, with cutting weight twice and all that stuff. And that and the element of surprise really helped Justin Gaethje. But at the end of the day, this is Khabib. Khabib's going to have a lot of time to practice. He's going to be ready to go. And I think we're headed towards Khabib and McGregor. No matter what you guys say, no matter what you guys believe, it's going to happen because that's the money-making fight.
I say the Diaz and McGregor fight. That's a trilogy. That's the thing. He's finished.
Yeah, that's
They were talking shit. They were talking
were.
shit after the fight, too.
McGregor was telling him to sign the contract. He says,
And
"Shut up."
he
And
said,
sign
shut
a
up.
Yeah,
So,
so I think that's going to happen. Fight Island. Stay tuned.
yeah.
True. That's very true. So as we cap off the UFC 249 card, again, what a card, guys.
Yeah.
Again, Francis Ngannou proves he's the most dangerous heavyweight fighter, maybe the most dangerous MMA fighter, with one of the
20
scariest,
seconds. 20
with
seconds.
one of the scariest knockouts we've ever seen. Greg Hardy keeps proving us wrong, winning fights left and right. And so much more on this card. The fight of the night was Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson, not a surprise. And the performances of the night were Justin Gaethje and Francis Ngannou. One more thing, RKJ.
Yeah, that preliminary fight. There was a preliminary fight. I forgot the two fighters' names.
Vincente Luque and Nico Price.
That dude's eyes was completely shut and the blood coming out of the mouth. That to me was actually the fight of the night, to be honest with you. That was a phenomenal fight.
Yeah.
That was a great fight. And I give those dudes credit, man, because they really performed, man. And shout out to Francis Ngannou saying something. He was like, I had to look him up on Google. I didn't know who he was, and that's all I knew about him.
Ngannou's a funny guy.
RKJ, do you see the hype when we talk about Francis Ngannou, though? Do you understand what we're talking about now?
I've already seen Francis Ngannou. He was on an ESPN card against, I forgot who it came.
Cain Velasquez.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's right.
He knocked Cain Velasquez to WWE. He literally punched him to SmackDown in October.
Well,
now Cain's out of a job.
Yeah, there's been, I mean, definitely Francis Ngannou using his boxing. Speaking of boxing, have you guys been seeing Mike Tyson's punching the pads?
That man's still still a vicious monster. He'll knock any heavyweight right now today, in their prime. And this is a out of shape Mike Tyson. And this guy still makes it look like nothing. He's still a ferocious animal. I mean, God, that guy is a monster. I mean, he's very gifted, and dude, I'll be scared if I had to fight that guy.
Oh, dude, fuck that.
Actually, he might fight for a charity. So for COVID-19. So that's off to Mike Tyson, man. That guy's fantastic. He's a phenomenal fighter.
Still looks good, man. He still got it.
One of my favorite boxers of all time.
Yeah.
If not the greatest boxers of all time.
What's up, RKJ? You want to say something, RKJ?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, obviously. And we'll talk about that later because WCW and Dennis Rodman make an appearance in these next couple of episodes. But there is a story of Mike Tyson and Michael Jordan eating dinner in like 1999. And apparently Mike Tyson was, during this time, he was going through some stuff. But he was like the killer Mike Tyson. WrestleMania 14, that Mike Tyson that showed up. And he was talking to Jordan, and Jordan was like, he was telling Jordan, he was like, hey, I know you screwed my girlfriend. I know you messed around with my girlfriend. And he was getting pissed. And he said that's the only time where you see Michael Jordan actually legitimately scared of someone else. In his prime, Mike Tyson ready to knock the fuck out of Michael Jordan, especially with his girlfriend. It would have been epic.
No matter who you are, dude. No matter who you are, that stare from Mike Tyson, that thing will just give you chills. You do not want to be face to face with Mike.
Hey, the thing is, you don't want your ears anywhere near his mouth, man.
Oh yeah.
So
if he comes into you and he's like, I gotta tell you a secret, you gotta be like, no way, man, no way.
I gave back Evander.
I gotta stay away from you. I gotta do the social distancing.
Mike Tyson's the most dangerous guy of all time, just based on the fact that he'll just bite some off you all of a sudden.
Well, he's a very down to earth guy, and honest. And
just now he's high as hell all the time.
Yeah.
That's why. Hashtag Tyson Ranch.
Sponsor us, bro.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually brought that up, Erica. It's something that we wouldn't normally talk about in the podcast, but I think it's catching everybody by storm.
Yeah.
How good Mike Tyson looks. Yeah, maybe we see a charity boxing match. I'll be buying.
Why not? Yeah.
Money.
Although, who's his opponent would be? Well, who? Like anybody in the current roster?
No, I don't know. I just say it would probably have to be somebody
from his past, Lennox Lewis.
No, I don't want to see anybody die. Maybe you have like one of these heavyweight UFC fighters that runs their mouth thinking they can box. But how about this? Put him in the ring with who's the dude? One of Conor McGregor's boys. The guy that got slapped by Khabib. What's his name again?
Oh, Dylan Dennis.
No, not Dylan Dennis. The other.
Artem Lobov?
Artem Lobov. Artem Lobov's been talking about boxing. Why don't you step in the ring with Mike Tyson?
Yeah, why not? Get in there, man.
Go
charity.
Give him Paulie Malignaggi. Step in the ring. Step in there. They don't weigh enough, though. That's the problem.
Send him location.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We're going to switch topics completely, and it's time to talk about a little WWE. You know, we've been kind of shying away from WWE lately on this podcast because it's been trash. We can all be honest about that. We haven't really been watching. Jesse, when we get on the podcast and start talking prep, he goes, guys, I haven't watched any WWE.
I haven't.
So,
I haven't.
No. And so there's not a lot. But so we want to talk about the Money in the Bank winners because what this was supposed to be, and I say supposed to because of the result that ended up happening. This is supposed to be one of the bigger matches of the year, right? There's 2 matches, the women's and the men's. And what happens in this is you have a future champion be crowned. Let's start with the men's because we know what happened with the women's and all that stuff. We'll get to that in a second. Your guys' thoughts on Otis winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. RKJ, I'm turning to you right away on this one. Otis winning the Money in the Bank briefcase and saying he's going to cash it in for a tag team title match. How many times do I have to censor this one? RKJ, go ahead.
I can't believe they did that. I can't believe. I'm trying to be calm here and not go off the rails here, but he's cashing it in for a tag team championship match when the whole goal of being Money in the Bank is to elevate yourself to the main event. Think about the past champions of Money in the Bank. You have your Edge. You have your Randy Ortons. What else you got? You got Baron Corbin winning. What else? John Cena. What else? There's a lot. There's a lot
Dolph
of
Ziggler.
There's so many winners, and yet Otis is going to use it for a tag team championship match when we haven't seen his brother on screen for months. We haven't seen him in a while. I don't know if he's been stuck in quarantine or whatnot. Has Heavy Machinery been together as a team? No. I'm just Otis and Mandy.
Not since WrestleMania. They have absolutely not been.
So why now is he making that decision? Does he feel bad in storyline because he's spending so much time with this hot woman now that he's forgotten his brother? So he's like, oh, let me make it up to you by getting you a tag team championship match. When the WWE doesn't care about tag team champions. They don't care about the tag team. If I'm Otis, okay, I'm cashing in kayfabe. I'm cashing that thing in on Braun Strowman, okay, and I'm going to get the woman and I'm going to get the WWE Universal Championship. But I just don't understand what they're doing. They're making it into a complete joke. I wouldn't be surprised if Otis loses the title in like some type of match against like a Baron Corbin or somebody else. I would not be surprised if that happened because the way he won it was a fluky finish. This is twice we've seen this. We've seen this multiple times. 2 people grabbing the briefcase, okay, together at the same time, and then a fluky finish where somebody gets it at the very end. It happened at WrestleMania in that triple threat ladder match. So It makes absolutely no sense what they're doing with Otis. As for Asuka winning, I agree with that.
RKJ, yeah, I'm glad you brought up the fact that he might lose the thing because I'm going to explode. Okay?
This is the first.
I'm trying to calm down over here, right? But like, I watched this shit earlier today because I was like, you know what? It's the Money in the Bank ladder match. They're making it interesting. WWE headquarters, all this shit. First of all, and I want to get you guys' comments on the match after this. First of all, most of this shit that happened in the match was for fucking kids. Okay? Like, I'm talking 12-year-old shit. Like, before, when I was watching wrestling as a kid, I would have been like, that's so funny. They win the Vince McMahon's up. Like, but you know, as an adult, I don't care. I just want to see them beat the shit out of each other, right? It's supposed to be a ladder match. And there's no ladders. It's a bunch of doors and a bunch of weird stuff and Stephanie McMahon and popping up and Bruce Pritchard. It just didn't make a lot of sense overall. And then, RKJ, you make a point, right? Like, Otis wins the title in the same fashion that they did the tag team. Like, the creative is so fucking awful right now. I'm telling you that right. It's infuriating. And I'm glad I hadn't been watching the product because honestly, I didn't have to watch anything before I watched this pay-per-view to know what was going on and to watch it. Like, I was like, I'm going to watch Money in the Bank because I'm going to see who wins the match. Oh, Braun Strowman's facing Bray Wyatt, not The Fiend. Braun Strowman's winning. Bayley's facing Tamina. Obviously, Bayley's winning, right? Drew McIntyre's facing Seth Rollins, who doesn't deserve a championship match. Obviously, Drew McIntyre. Like, it just, the creative is so bad, and I know we've heard Vince McMahon's checking out, but it's just so disappointing that the creative is this poor. And then Asuka wins. Boom. Okay, I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. And what did they do on Monday? Today? Whatever the fuck? I don't know. Okay, who cares? They go, oh, Asuka, you're the champion now. Like, there's no Money in the Bank cash in for you. You're just now the champion because Becky Lynch got knocked up. Like, what the hell is going on in WWE right now? What is going on? Why is the creative so disappointing and bad that I'm sitting here actually getting mad on the podcast for like the third time ever? I don't understand. Can somebody please explain to me how WWE can recover from this? They ruined the Money in the Bank ladder match. They ruined it. Oh, and by the way, they killed Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black. They killed them. They threw him off the roof. We're supposed to believe? I mean, Rey Mysterio is... Sorry, Eric's laughing. It was bugging me to laugh. But we're supposed to believe that Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black died?
I think what you
Come
saw...
on, man.
I thought what you saw in the words of RKJ meant a killing on live television, and that's what really happened. Who knows?
Did Aleister Black hold on to the building, like on the top, like this?
Spoiler alert, probably. I don't know. He probably was acting like
What
Spider-Man.
Eric, explain this to me. Why are they doing this? Why is it so bad? Why is it so fucking bad?
You know, I'm gonna be honest, man. I didn't watch the event, okay, because obviously you have it on Mother's Day, and everybody's, so you want to watch it with your, with your mom, watch Money in the Bank pay-per-view. You watch it with your mom. Nothing else going on. You see this. To be honest, I was.
Did you guys get murdered? That's what you.
Yeah. So you see people get murdered. I thought that the overall match was really the ladder match. I thought the whole concept about the Money in the Bank ladder match was obviously the ladder match, but they just turned it into like this corporate, obviously HQ, W headquarters, and then they bring in everybody involved. I didn't think it was necessary. I didn't know what the whole point of this whole thing was. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you guys were using ladders. Can you guys get to the ladders, or can you guys get to the match, or what's going on? Why are you guys doing this? And then I'm like, somebody said, oh, they're just doing the whole thing about the concept is climb the corporate ladder. I guess you have to figure out on your own, trying to figure out the fact that, they're trying to climb the corporate ladder, which is the building itself. You have to get to the top, get the Money in the Bank briefcase. I have no problem. Like you guys said, I have no problem with Asuka winning the championship. The Money in the Bank,
No, she won the championship, Eric.
The
you're
championship,
right. She won the championship.
Yeah, but this isn't the first time that she got handed, like, somebody hand the belt. They hand the belt to somebody. I mean, Bischoff did that to Triple H back in 2002, so there was no outrage in that. So with Asuka being handed the belt, this is nothing different. With Otis, it surprised me. It surprised me that he won the Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm not as mad, although I'm a little bit, I should say this, a little bit disappointed because I thought that it may have been, I don't know, maybe like AJ who would have won the contract. Oh, and by the way, AJ Styles, I thought he was dead because Undertaker buried him. I thought that he was dead. How the hell did he come back?
Dude, that's what I'm talking about, bro. Jesse, what are you saying?
You saw his hand come out of the graveyard after Undertaker.
I thought he was,
his hand was dead, bro. Okay, so this is the problem. RKJ, you've been shaking your head, please. I love that we agree on this too. Like, explain to me why we now have AJ Styles murdered on TV. Apparently, Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio were thrown off a 20-story building, dead. That kills everybody. But so we're
Because my
supposed
favorite
to
superstar.
believe that these guys are just okay.
Because my favorite
What
wrestler.
are we watching right now? How is this supposed to be believable?
All I can say is this: Vince McMahon's an idiot, and all he wants to do is sell the WWE. He doesn't care anymore because we're in a global pandemic, so that he believes that gives him an opportunity to do the most dumbest shit ever. And you know what he is, and he's going to drive the WWE into the ground, so there will be no WWE to watch after the pandemic. All right. And by the way, with the whole way they did the Asuka Becky Lynch thing, we'll talk a little bit more about it. I don't understand why Becky Lynch couldn't make her decision, her announcement last week. That would help the ratings even further. And then you come out and say, oh, instead of Money in the Bank, this is for the Raw Women's Championship. And you have Raw and SmackDown superstars fighting for that championship. Why? Because they're going to destroy the brand split anyway. It's over. Drew McIntyre announced a brand invitation match. Okay, so that means the brand split's over. We know it. It's supposed to be. What is it?
Brand split's been dead. It's been dead for a while. It's not taken seriously, man.
Stop kidding ourselves here.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. Vince McMahon, there needs to be a corporate hostile takeover from Vince McMahon. Somebody needs to come in and take off the majority of the stock and fire Vince McMahon. That's all there is to it. The man's crazy.
Well, McMahon, I think there was somebody who I think I might have saw this on Wrestling News. McMahon has been going on a mood, saying he's on a fuck it mood, where he's like, yeah, that's what he said. He's like, I'm gonna just fuck it, might as well just do this shit, might as well just have Otis win the Money in the Bank briefcase and see what happens. But I'm curious though. I'm curious with Otis. I want to see more because we've said that he can go, toe to toe in singles competition, but he's going to be using it as a tag team cash in. Who knows? He might have Mandy Rose step in and actually become the tag team champions with Otis.
I mean, I'm not.
Well, here's the thing, Eric. Anything can happen because people are getting killed.
Let's not forget 2 years ago, Braun Strowman won the tag team titles with Nicholas, a 12-year-old kid. Okay, let's not forget that. Okay, and at that point, when I watched it, after that, I turned it off and never watched WrestleMania 34 again. I have not seen any more WrestleMania 34 since he won the tag team titles with that 12-year-old child.
Oh,
okay?
You missed Roman Reigns winning the title of WrestleMania for like the third time in a row?
No, he actually lost that one, Nick, but I didn't
care.
Right,
good, yeah, fuck.
Real quickly also, Nick, I told you I was going to do it last night. I'm going to do it. If you haven't been watching The Last Dance, there's a guy named Jerry Krause, okay? He's a genius. He built a dynasty, and because of his ego, he killed a dynasty. Vince McMahon is the Jerry Krause of professional wrestling. He's built a dynasty in the WWE. In WrestleMania, he's killed a dynasty in the WWE. He's killing the WWE. He's not comfortable in his legacy, just like Jerry Krause. It's almost like Vince McMahon has little man syndrome, just like Jerry Krause. He's just better looking than Jerry Krause. Let's be honest. So the fact of the matter is this: Vince McMahon needs to go. It needs to happen. And that's why I'm not watching WWE television. That's the reason why I don't have the network.
I'm kind of curious for next week how. Well, I think I can see what they're going to do with Aleister Black, because him being like all like dark and all that, he can resurrect from the dead, something like that. But with Rey Mysterio, how are they going to bring him back?
I heard he's gone. I heard his contract's up.
Oh, okay, so that's a good way to throw him out, just kill him.
So why'd you throw Aleister Black off the fucking roof?
Really quick.
Like, what?
Really quickly. First of all, WWE screwed it up because they said they fell onto a secondary roof. So apparently it's that big roof. There was another place underneath where the guys fell.
Man, there was a pad behind the wall, bro.
Okay, apparently that's what they claimed tonight. Second of all, Rey Mysterio got killed because he fell in a corner and his eyes legitimately were coming out. I don't know if anybody's watched Walking Dead here. Just look at Glenn Walking Dead. Okay, when he got killed. Okay, Rey Mysterio looked like that tonight.
Yeah, that's true.
Jesse?
What can I say? I did not watch that shit.
Jesse, after hearing all this, what are your thoughts on that? Well, actually, you know what? I'll just change it because we've been so negative for the last.
I got one.
It's funny though. It's comedic.
Yeah, it is funny.
I got one thing for Otis though. I'll just say this. I know how every single time the Money in the Bank, everybody goes for the main title, right?
Yeah.
Now Otis did the unimaginable thing, unorthodox, something we're not used to seeing. And it kind of, it was like Eric said, it was surprising. Nobody really actually goes out for the tag team. Like nobody goes out for like a lower tier title. And for Otis to do that, it's kind of a little bit refreshing. I'll just say that, but I'll leave it at that as well. Now, should he go for the title? I think he should have, but at the same time, it's who knows what the creative thinking goes on behind the scenes.
There's no creative thinking.
Oh, see, there you go. There's absolutely nothing.
It's Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon.
Hold up.
Pritchard is destroying it.
I'll say this: sell the damn company to Disney. Give somebody like Dana White, or Scott Coker. They'll revamp this damn thing and make it a new tournament format.
Jeez, man, Disney, they own half the media.
No, dude, they own more than the media. They're a monopoly.
They own more than half the media.
Yeah, so how can they? I mean, if that's the case, then they're gonna make WWE even more PG as it is. They're gonna make it more. They're gonna go from PG.
Hold up.
Well, Eric, it already is Wile E. Coyote and people getting cinder blocks dropped on their heads.
Yeah.
What are we watching? I mean, like, there's literally people dying on TV. How many times?
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
Or actually, no.
Well, who's gonna die next? Who's really gonna die next in the next pay-per-view or on Raw and SmackDown?
What is the next pay-per-view? That's a good question.
Oh yeah.
The company is gonna die. Exactly.
Vince McMahon is screwed, and guess what? Becky Lynch leaving it screwed him even more.
Yeah, good transition. We need to talk about that. So, in good news, Becky Lynch is pregnant. She's expecting her first child with, we presume, Seth Rollins.
Well, why do you put it that way? Why do you presume?
Because we're joking around.
Does he need to go on Maury for that? Does he need to go on Maury just to?
That would get great ratings. That would get better ratings than Raw and SmackDown are getting. I'll tell you that right now. But so we have Becky Lynch. She announces she's pregnant. She gives the title to Asuka. Whatever. But so realistically, the question I want to pose to you guys here is, how can WWE? I know this is hard because they're murdering people on TV, but how did they replace Becky Lynch? But she's going to be gone for a year here. She's not coming back for a while. Who should they build around? How do they replace Becky Lynch? How do they make the man again? Does anybody have an opinion on this? Do you guys have anybody in mind that you think could be the next man?
Go, RKJ.
Vince McMahon better take out his freaking wallet, and he better pay Ronda Rousey a crap ton of money not to get pregnant for a couple years. He better pay her so much money, he's gonna make Brock Lesnar pissed off. That's what he needs to do, okay? Because the fact of the matter is this, I don't see anybody in this division right now. The closest I can see, honestly, is Bianca Belair. She has charisma, she has style, she's black. So you can appeal to other people besides, to the black fan base too as well, the Hispanic fan base as well too.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Is a big part of the WWE audience too. It makes up in some parts the majority of the audience. So I love Bianca Belair, but I don't trust in Raw's creative right now. I don't trust in Vince McMahon's creative. I think what they're going to honestly do, besides paying Ronda Rousey, is they're going to go back to Charlotte Flair. They're going to go back to Charlotte Flair is going to get one of the biggest contracts in the history of women's wrestling. She's going to get that right now. She's going to get that because she is their future right now. They are constantly promoting Charlotte Flair. She's on them. Even when WWE was going to Fox, you didn't really see that much Becky Lynch. You saw Charlotte Flair all over the place. She was on Colin Cowherd. She was making media appearances, with the sports shows on Fox and FS1 and local Fox affiliates. So I think Charlotte Flair, they've always wanted Charlotte Flair. It just happened, just like in many instances, they fell on a gold mine with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is gone for God knows how long, at least a year, right? We have to say at least a year. Could be more. There's idiots. She's supposedly due in December. I know the rumors are going to start after she has the baby. Oh, she's getting ready for the Royal Rumble 2021. That ain't happening, y'all.
You can't recover that quickly. It doesn't work that way.
That's not happening especially with the pandemic going on right now. So, and I'm not surprised she got pregnant. right now. I'm not surprised. She had been talking with Seth Rollins, and she had been commenting. Her and Seth Rollins have been saying that they definitely wanted to have kids in the future. They definitely wanted to have it. And they kind of alluded that maybe it was going to come sooner rather than later, which was a surprise to me. So, yeah, Becky Lynch, there is no way you can replace the man, but they're going to try to do it with Charlotte Flair, and the ratings are going to continue to slump.
I'll just say this. She kind of pulled off a Henry Cejudo. I want to go have a baby, but this time she's actually having a baby. So congratulations to her and Seth Rollins.
That's true. It was weird, too, because a lot of people on social media were talking about possible retirement for Becky Lynch because a baby is so much work and stuff like that, and because it almost technically is a 2-year thing.
Well,
because here's the thing about this, guys. We're not talking about normal couple here. Yeah. We're talking about a couple that is 300 days a year on the road. You don't take care of a baby like that. Someone's got to be home, right? So it means either Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch's career is going to suffer from this. Unfortunately, I don't mean that in a mean way, but it's just the truth. When you have a baby, someone has to be there for it. So is there a chance maybe Becky Lynch never comes back? We're looking at 2 years here from now, and nobody cares anymore. Like nobody, right? Eric, what's your opinion on that? A baby is not just a year thing. We don't see this a lot in WWE. What's your thoughts?
I got a solution for that. Matt Hardy, like what he did with Reby Sky, bring his kid over to the wrestling shows, like what they did. So I think, why not? They probably bring the kid over to the wrestling shows, have somebody look her over, him or her over. So I think that could be a good solution. Does it surprise me? Not really, but I didn't think that she would actually make an announcement like that. I thought she would just go behind the scenes and tell Vince or somebody, saying that, hey, look, I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. For months. I don't know, maybe a year, but
most likely a year.
Yeah, most likely a year. So I thought she was going to do something like that, but I didn't think she would say it out in the open. So that caught me off guard. But I think that she obviously, Royal Rumble is too soon. Maybe Mania might be for her to come back. Still a little bit close to, close to the month of January, but still I think Mania could be quite possibly like a comeback for Becky Lynch. But Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, realistically speaking, who's really going to be back home attending the baby? I don't know who. Somebody's got to take a turn. So don't know. I really don't know on this one. It's really dicey. But I think WWE, what they're going to try to do is that since Becky Lynch is so marketable and she is also talking about getting herself into film, I think she's going into movies, right? Is she doing it?
She's going to be in a Marvel movie.
Yeah, in a Marvel movie. So I can see her already set. If she does leave wrestling, then she could also get into acting. She could get into doing movies, more money, especially for Marvel. So as for that to happen, Becky Lynch, she is still going to be marketable. I think, in my opinion, just how WWE has been building Becky Lynch around. But in the meantime, while she's gone, and I'm going to go with RKJ on this one, they're going to build the company all around Charlotte. That's basically what's going to happen. Or Ronda Rousey until she comes back. Don't know when she's going to be back because Ronda Rousey, she's been going, I guess, killing kayfabe online on Twitter, saying that she's been saying that nobody can hang with me, wrestling's fake and this and that. But we all know, I think, at this degree that Ronda Rousey is fetching for a return. But I think Mr. McMahon's going to have to pay a bulk of money for Ronda Rousey to come back and possibly build the company around both Rousey, if she comes back, and Charlotte.
I'll say this, though. In any kind of sport, whether it's pro wrestling or MMA, baseball, whatever, soccer, basketball, if you're gonna have a kid, it's gonna need 100% of your attention. So basically, I'm saying is that, eventually you do have to step away from the sport, whatever it is. And, kids ain't easy to raise. I mean, I got like a couple of nieces, I get tired of them like within like an hour.
Yeah.
I love them to death. And, but it drains you. It takes a lot of energy. You got to take them
And
to.
so imagine that every single day too.
Yeah.
I got a niece coming too, so I can see that happening.
They'll be waking up and crying and need feeding and changing the diaper, and that stuff ain't easy. So yeah, you gotta definitely step away from the sport, and and especially in sports, you gotta be so like the sports itself. It's really you gotta be selfish because you're going after who's gonna be the number one person, and you're gonna come in and say I'm gonna be the best person I could, in the business, and you just got to be selfish, and having a kid, you can't be selfish anymore. So you got to divide your attention and give that that baby 100% of your attention. Your time. So I'll just say that.
So it's very interesting. We've seen this a lot. Vince McMahon puts his faith in a woman's wrestler, and for whatever reason, the unexpected happened. Somebody brought this up on a Reddit post. Awesome Kong. This was during a time. Or excuse me, Karma, as she was called during this time. This is during a time where Vince McMahon did not care about the women's division. It was widely noted that he did not care, but he put a lot of emphasis in getting Awesome Kong from TNA at the time, bringing her over as Karma, and guess what? She got pregnant. Ronda Rousey left him after to go have a kid, and now Becky Lynch. I don't want to say this in a way that could be construed as sexist, but you got to think that Vince McMahon's thinking in the back of his mind, I just gave Becky Lynch the main event of WrestleMania 35, the last full WrestleMania with fans in the crowd, this big publicity. She's been dominating for a year. She was on the top of the world. Every time it seems like I give a women's wrestler an opportunity, something happens. What do you think? Do you think possibly he's thinking that in the back of his mind? Like, I don't know if I can do it again with another female wrestler putting it on top like this. Because what if, the woman has to carry the baby, not the man? Seth Rollins can still wrestle for 9 months. Becky Lynch can't.
I'll say this. It's not sexist what you're saying. It's very true. I think the point you're making that might be wrong is that every single time he gives the reins to a woman, she ends up getting pregnant or whatever. But yes, you're correct. There is a point to make that Becky Lynch was handed the keys to the Ferrari here and was given the title win over Shayna Baszler, who a lot of people thought was going to be winning that championship at WrestleMania. She got that win, and she's kept it ever since. And now she announces she's pregnant, and it's almost like a slap in the face to Vince. I know it could have been by accident, right? Or whatever. But there's, we're in modern society here. There's ways to prevent that. We all know this. We're not going to get in that conversation, but it is an interesting topic to think about because, when you're going to give the keys to the Ferrari, like I'm saying, to somebody, you don't want them to all of a sudden say, oh, hey, I'm out for a year now. I'm gone. And Ryan, we're not even talking about Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's been threatening to have a kid for a year. Who would have thought that Becky Lynch would be having a kid before Ronda Rousey? Like, holy shit.
I've already seen it on Reddit. Becky Lynch continuously beats Ronda Rousey at everything, even having a kid now. I've seen it on Reddit. But I love Becky Lynch, and I'm very happy for her and Seth Rollins. But at the same time, Becky Lynch was one of the biggest ratings pullers for Monday Night Raw for the WWE. Every time Becky Lynch showed up to a show, people tuned in. And now Becky Lynch is not going to be watching. And during a time of a pandemic, when you need that star power like Becky Lynch, you're not going to have her for at least a year. I think it's going to be more. I think until we get a vaccine, Becky Lynch will not be there. Because you don't want to have her get the COVID-19.
Very good point.
Spread it up to her kid. That's even more of a concern. When are we going to have the vaccine and when we're going to have fans?
Yeah, so, guys, fun podcast. I can't remember laughing this hard at so many things we talked about in this podcast. This is really fun. I was really excited about this. Next week we will be previewing Double or Nothing at least, because Double or Nothing is still coming out to be a pretty good pay-per-view. We will be looking at the last couple UFC fights. There will be more UFC fights coming out this week, Wednesday and also Saturday. It's fight week every week, apparently, in the UFC. And we will continue to dissect the WWE creative as best we can. But for this podcast, we are done. We hope you guys enjoyed it, controversial or not. We love you guys' feedback. But for this podcast, we are done. RKJ, man, take it away.
Hey, man, like, comment, and subscribe. But as always, raise a glass in the sky and salute the Rangers.
It's the Sauce, Alexander, and you're watching the Ring General Podcast. Turn this man around. Turn this man around. Subscribe, like, and comment.
But raise a glass in the sky and salute the Ring Generals.
That's right. That's right.